The Celtics storm back to even the series. The Warriors and Grizzlies played something, and the coach of the year and the MVP have been either announced or reported. This is Locked On NBA.
You are Locked On NBA, your daily NBA podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On NBA, your daily source for all things NBA, part of the Locked On Network, your team every day. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. We're free and available on all platforms, including YouTube, where you can check out a live video version of the show. Enjoy that on YouTube. Today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. Check out prizepicks.com and use promo code NBA or go to your app store and download the app today. PrizePicks is daily fantasy made easy. My name is Matt Moore. I'm the senior NBA writer for the Action Network and co-host over at Locked On Nuggets. His name's David Ramil. He's co-host of Locked On Heat, where he's got a nice night off away from the Heat Sixers intensity. And David, it was an ugly night of basketball. Defenses ruled the day. Offenses had kind of a rough night, but in the end, one series looks to be headed in one definite direction, and the other series out in Milwaukee is all tied up.
Yeah, you're definitely right about that. There were times definitely during that game between the Warriors and Grizzlies where I wasn't sure what the hell I was watching. That was pretty horrific basketball. A lot of three-point shooting, neither team making their shots, and yet it come down to a pretty exciting end, actually, as Steph Curry finally clicked into gear and wound up igniting the Warriors. But to your point, let's start off over in Milwaukee, where Al Horford turned back the clock and had himself a huge fourth quarter to lead the Celtics to a comeback victory over the Milwaukee Bucks. That was a hell of a game by Horford.
Yeah, it was a weird game in that this is one that I think the Bucks are going to want to have back. The Celtics, I think, have two games that they want to have back, game 1 and game 3. They had chances to win both of those. This is the one that the Bucks let get away. 116-108. Boston gets the win in Milwaukee to even the series. Look, Boston at the half had a better shooting percentage and they had hit more threes and all of these things, and yet the Bucks had a lead. They wound up hitting 5 more threes than the Bucks tonight. They shot 50% from the field, which is actually excellent given how ugly this game felt at times. But in reality, it was that fourth quarter push, as David mentioned. It was really just came down to a fourth quarter surge. The Celtics score 43 points. Again, what has been an impenetrable, awesome, unstoppable Bucks defense led by Al Horford in that fourth quarter, as you mentioned. And I mean, let's just start here. I continue to kind of make this point, and Horford has been a winner everywhere he's gone. And I feel like this gets really under the radar that Al Horford's not like a household name, and that irritates me. This is a 2-time national champion in college. Okay. He goes to the NBA, and immediately his team makes the playoffs with him in a starting role. He makes the playoffs every season in the NBA until he misses 1 year because he's out hurt with the Hawks, then makes it every year until last year where he basically had a sabbatical being traded to OKC because Philadelphia couldn't make it work with a guy who has won everywhere. But even I, big Al Horford fan, my favorite Al Horford memory is talking about Spanish poetry at the All-Star game. Love Al Horford.
Yeah.
I can't believe what he pulled off tonight. Playoff career high, 30 points. Hit every three-pointer that they needed, he hit. Every turnaround shot that they needed, he hit. Giannis goes and dunks on him, and just rudely. And Al looks at him and says, okay, I see you. And then goes back on the other end a couple minutes later, and he dunks on Giannis. Just an insane performance from the veteran. David, I want more people to recognize how awesome Al Horford's career and season has been.
I'm right there with you. A long time ago, what seems like an eternity ago, covering Miami, and there was a summer where it was a decision between Hassan Whiteside and Al Horford, and I'm going, Al Horford, take Al Horford. Instead, they throw $90 million to waste at Hassan Whiteside. With Horford and his dad having played it, his dad playing at the University of Miami, I thought it was a no-brainer. The Latin community would have embraced him. It would have been such a nice fit for a center to stretch the floor, brought veteran leadership to a young team, et cetera, et cetera. I'll never forgive the Miami Heat front office for all the right moves they've made. That was a head scratcher for sure. But back to the game. That dunk from Giannis, Al Horford, in the parlance of our times, he took it personally. He did not like that whatsoever and became incensed. You never see that kind of rage and emotion. He always keeps it not necessarily bottled up, but certainly in check. And you could see him playing with absolute just fury behind everything he did, intent, purpose. He was fantastic out there. What a force. And to see him just shoot the ball so comfortably in that fourth quarter. We had 16 huge points, and to lead Boston to a comeback win like that. I mean, I thought Milwaukee was going to put it away. To your point earlier, their defense has been so good. They were getting this monster performance from Antetokounmpo, and then all of a sudden Horford says, you know what, not tonight. I'm going to carry this team. And Jason Tatum follows suit. He winds up matching Horford with a big fourth quarter himself. Just a fantastic performance from them. I think there was a key moment there where Ime Udoka decides to go with Derek White, and he plays him the entire fourth quarter to provide that kind of incredible defense, just limiting what they could do. Just another player to kind of throw out there, cause a little chaos defensively, and it really swung things in Boston's favor. And then to get that kind of offensive production from Horford tonight was a fantastic, bold move from Udoka, who's been a really underrated coach this season.
All that said, I got to say, it took 30 from Al Horford. It took 16 in the fourth quarter from Horford. It took a monster Tatum game with him having a huge fourth quarter as well. 30 points, 13 rebounds, 5 assists for Tatum, who struggled for most of the night and then just went nuts in that fourth quarter, hitting contested shots. It took all of that for them to get by here. Now, look, evens the series. They retook home court. They're favored now again in the series, but I think Milwaukee's very live. Look, the issue here with Milwaukee continues to be the same thing I feel like it is every single year, which is, hey, if you don't hit good looks, you're not going to win. And this is Drew Holiday, 5 of 22 from the field. Yeah. The numbers on this were crazy, David. So Drew plays 40 minutes and 54 seconds. Okay, so he basically plays 41 minutes. And they're a minus 23 in a game they lost by 8. So they were plus 15 in the 8 minutes Drew Holiday did not play, including they were a plus 1 in the minutes where in Giannis's plus or 41 minutes of play. On top of it, Grayson Allen has really been picked on defensively. He was a minus 10 in his 28 minutes. He just seems unplayable, but Bud keeps giving him opportunities. No Javon Carter tonight, which I think was a huge mistake given how Javon has played throughout this series. But Drew Holiday is 1 of 6. Grayson Allen goes 1 of 4. The Bucks as a team shoot 9 of 27 from 3. Not all great looks. These are 2 great defenses. But to me, we're reaching that point. It's 2-2. This does feel like a lot of this is just going to come down to shot variance. And while that definitely, I think, leans a little bit towards Boston with who they have, I still think that Milwaukee is very live to win this series. I don't think that they have any issues with going, like, they've already beaten Boston on the road.
Yep. Good point.
Going to be, I think, really fascinating. I think this is going 7.
Yeah, I think it was kind of starting to trend that way anyway. Like, you could see between these two teams, not necessarily being evenly matched, just having these 2 stellar defenses that can really carry a team or shut down what the opposing offenses are doing. And that's for Boston, to their credit. They were doing this all without the Time Lord, Robert Williams, who sat out the game due to knee soreness in that surgically repaired knee of his. So he was not available tonight. They started Grant Williams in his place. He had a pretty solid game overall. Not spectacular, but he had a nice couple of plays there, finished with 9 points on 3 of 9 shooting from the floor, also had 4 rebounds. So a decent game from him with a minus 17. I did not expect that. When looking at the box score, I did not expect that because I thought he was more impactful in his minutes, but he wound up having a pretty okay game. Overall, though, to your point, I think, yes, they are going to go 7. These 2 teams just the ability to show that they can win on the road like this, it has not been a factor. Just as it, in the Miami Philadelphia series, again, both teams 2-2 now, and yet they have only won at home. Conversely, these 2 teams have already won on the road. I don't think either team really has home court advantage in this case. So because of that, those defenses, because of the shot variance being the deciding factor on a game-to-game basis, and it's just a toss-up from here on out to see who wins Game 5. It should be an exciting series, and it should go 7.
Let's take a break. We'll come back and we'll talk about. Oh boy, there was a quote unquote basketball game out in the Bay. We'll talk about that when we come back on Locked On NBA. But first, I need to tell you about Prize Picks. All right, NBA fans, are you looking for a daily fantasy option for the NBA? Then you got to try the award-winning app Prize Picks. Prize Picks is daily fantasy made easy. We love it, and we know that you're going to too. It's so easy to use. You just pick 2 to 5 players and over/under on their projections, and you can win up to 10 times on an entry, and it's just you versus the projected numbers. Here's one. Gonna take Danny Green under since he decided to hit every 3 on the ever possible, seems like, in the games in Philadelphia and was absolutely wretched in the games in Miami. I'll go ahead and keep thinking that Danny can't shoot on the road there. Entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. It's that easy. Prize Picks is safe and offers fast withdrawals. You can use the award-winning app on the App Store or Google Play. They've got every prop you can think of, from points scored to rebounds, even steals. Maybe if you're going with the Dylan Brooks prop, don't go with points scored. Just as a heads up. Prize Picks allows mixed sport entries, so you can get in NBA, but also college basketball, college football, NFL, MLB, soccer, MMA, and more. And for limited time, Prize Picks has an exclusive no-brainer of an offer for all of our users. You get $50 for free if a player in your first Prize Picks entry scores a single point, but you have to use code NBA. That's right, an exclusive offer available for our Locked On fans. Just sign up today and use code NBA, and you'll get $50 for free if a player in your first entry scores a single point. Prize Picks is daily fantasy made easy. We're also brought to you today by Athletic Greens Company. So it comes in this really cool bottle. Okay,
Yep.
Little bag. You got a nice little cool jar on the side. You just put it there by your coffee in the morning. That's what I do. I just have it by my coffee. So I get the coffee pot and I fill up the coffee with water, and then I do my coffee and have it brewing, and then immediately shift and put in the scoop into the water bottle that they give you with the pack. Okay, you 1 scoop, fill, and you're set to go for the day. It has 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole foods, sourced superfoods, and adaptogens to help you start your day right. It's going to help you. It's lifestyle friendly, so if you're vegan or dairy-free or gluten-free, it's good for you. It contains less than 1 gram of sugar. It's got no GMOs, no nasty chemicals. Less than $3 a day, cheaper than that cold brew habit that you've been keeping. A lot of people take a multivitamin and you just wind up taking like 16 different things. This is going to hit you with all of it. It's a micro habit with big benefits, and it's something you can do every single day to take care of yourself. Your subscription comes with a year's supply of vitamin D, which is so important throughout the year. It gets you ready for the entire year. It's going to make you feel better. It's all there for you. It's got so many things for you. Athletic Greens has over 7,000 5-star reviews recommended by professional athletes and health experts like Tim Ferriss and Michael Gervais. Right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. Just 1 scoop in a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements. And Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/NBA network. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/NBA network to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. We'll be right back on Locked On NBA. Back here on Locked On NBA, thanks for making us part of your day and your first listen each and every day. Make sure that you check out the Locked On NBA Big Board. It's absolutely fantastic. It's got Rafe Bartholomew, all sorts of great stuff. It covers the NBA draft. It's going to get you set for the draft lottery, which is happening. Guess what? Today. That's happening. That's a thing that's happening. It's going to be coming at you. Make sure to check out the Locked On NBA Big Board with host Rafael Barlow from the NBA Draft Junkies, and author of the NBA Big Board newsletter, joined by Richard Stamen, Sam Ferris, and Lee Thillen, to give fans an in-depth look into the NBA draft, mock draft, player rankings, and, of course, the big boards. Check it out wherever you get podcasts. All right, back here on Locked On NBA, David Ramil. Okay, David. So my big takeaway, look, we could rattle on about how much the Warriors-Grizzlies game sucked, and it did. There's games that are defensive-minded and are tough, and then there are games that just suck. And this game was just terrible. It was a terrible game. It was badly played and badly shot. There was lots of turnovers. There's too much 3-point shooting. The Grizzlies go 9 of 35. The Warriors go 9 of 37. Steph Curry goes 4 of 14. My thing, being a little like big, I got a thing for the Grizz, is this is just like a heartbreaker, and it's one of those. There are just teams that win these types of games, and there's just teams that don't. And the Memphis Grizzlies, without John Morant, couldn't win this game. Had a lead, couldn't get it done.
Yeah, the emotional instability of this series has been so much fun to watch because there's so much contention between these two teams. It's been an aggressive series on both fronts, very physical. Of course, there was the injury to Gary Payton II. There was also, of course, the injury to John Morant. Dylan Brooks comes back from his 1-game suspension for Game 4. They're starting Steven Adams, so there's all these weird factors, and then you think it's going to wind up erupting into this really fun and yet angry mess. And it didn't feel like that at all. There was some tension there, but mostly because Golden State fans were booing Brooks every time he touched the ball. Other than that, it really was just, as you said, ugly basketball. Nobody seemed to have any kind of clear purpose with what they were doing. And then to see Steph Curry and Klay Thompson both just miss everything. I think they missed like their first, I'm exaggerating here, but I felt like their first like 15 or 20 3-pointers. Couldn't seem to hit anything. And Curry wound up having a nice stretch later in the fourth quarter. But as far as this game is concerned, it was just horrific. Bad for the eyes. Give me the bleach so I could just wash it from my memory immediately, because this was not great. But as far as Memphis's inability to win the big game, I thought there was a point there, like earlier this season, and I know that's the regular season, so you can discount it as you will. Without Morant in the lineup, showed some real poise. They showed some kind of temerity there because they were without Morant. They were able to rely on guys like Bane and Brooks and others to kind of carry the team. That wasn't the case tonight. They just didn't seem to have any kind of real superstar quality. And that's despite the fact that they had a nice performance off the bench by Anderson. He came in with 17 points. Yeah, he was really solid for them, except 2 of 7 from the free throw line. So he couldn't hit a free throw to save his life, but still wound up having some really nice shots at the rim, etc. He was a saving grace there for them, but an ugly game. I don't know what to say here about Memphis, because I don't know what the timeline is for Morant, as he's going to be available for Game 6, or Game 5, excuse me. But just I don't know that. Golden State now, they're too experienced. They've been in this position before. They don't want to give Memphis any lifeblood back. They don't want to give them any chance at having to possible comeback or anything like that. I think they'll close out the series the next time they come down to Memphis.
No Steve Kerr in this game. Tested positive for COVID. So the coach of the Kings coached the team from San Francisco that used to be in Oakland against the team in Memphis.
That's what it is. It's the Kings connection, Matt, to your point. I know you've been really fond of the Kings all season, and I think he contaminated this game somehow. His hiring really stuck up the game. That's probably
but he also won a playoff game, which is very un-Kings-like. So.
Hasn't happened in a long time.
No, I feel bad for Kings fans. Like, this was unnecessary. After the game, Steph talking about his shooting. You talk about historically bad shooting. I feel like we got traded to the Kings overnight. That's not nice. That's just not nice at all.
Well deserved, but not nice.
Yeah, Steph Curry with an incredible flop, by the way, at the end of the game that they didn't challenge, which just. I'm so tired of players falling down, David. I'm so tired of players.
Try covering the 76ers series. Yeah, I'll tell you.
Just horrendous. Dylan Brooks is going to be the GOAT in terms of the not the greatest of all time, but just the GOAT, the guy that's going to be blamed for this. 5 of 19 from the field, 2 of 9 from 3. There is weren't a lot of options. Here's honestly the big deal. If you want to know a big reason that this happened, not only was Ja out, obviously. And not only is Memphis like a young team that's still trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
Desmond Bane's clearly not healthy. Like that back, you could just tell that he's just not the same dude. Here's a good example. For Bane to only have 8 shots in this game with Ja out.
Yeah.
Like you can talk about Desmond, about Dylan Brooks taking over the shots. I think he was taking them because nobody else could create one. Because Desmond had no shake, no lift, no ability to get separation. And so yeah, I've gone back and forth about whether or not I think Memphis is going to be able to take Game 5, right? Because it's like you're down 3-1. Warriors can close the door. They've already won there. All those things. I still kind of feel like Memphis might be able to. I think it probably comes down to Ja's availability. We'll see if Ja's out. I can't.
No chance.
I think there's a chance just because they had a chance tonight. They're in Golden State and they still had a lead down the stretch. But boy, here one more take for you. This game is a good example of why. Look, I have a Warriors title ticket. I've said I like the Warriors to win the NBA title for quite a while. I've said that I think they're like at least a contender. I think I thought it was Bucks or them. And then with the Celtics, you have to include the Celtics. I like the Warriors over the Suns. This team is just not inevitable. the way that some of the teams of old with Golden State were. And this game, I think, is an example of it where, like, can you imagine a couple of years ago, Steph going 10 to 25 from the field and
No.
4 of 14 from three?
Absolutely not.
Like Klay, okay. Like Klay Thompson coming back off of those injuries, going 0 for 7 from 3, 6 to 20. Again, another example of how like Memphis had a game given to them and they couldn't close. But like this isn't, there are nights when the Warriors offense looks pedestrian.
Yeah.
You can slow them down. You can stop them. And I think that's going to be one of the reasons why they're not, I don't think they're going to just steamroll. I think they've got as good a chance as anybody to win the NBA title because they do have so much talent and they are so good and they have so much defense. And I think they're well coached. But unless Steph Curry gets back to splashing real quick, it's not going to be nearly as easy as some of their other roads, I think.
But how much of tonight's poor shooting was actually, can you attribute to Memphis's defense? Because I have to say, like, I mean, I don't know that either team played spectacular defense, at least not for long stretches of the game. I mean, especially when it came to the shooting too. Yeah. Like, I mean, Golden State had their looks. It just the shots weren't falling. I mean,
yeah, but that's the thing, though. That actually makes me more like you can solve a good defense. This team is good enough and has enough talent to where you like good offense is going to be good defense. Is that consistently this season? This is like, do you remember the shooting drought from Steph midseason?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So like, that's my thing. It's just like, they're like the 2015 and 2016 teams, only if they were mortal, like if they actually bled human blood. That's what this team basically reminds me of. So.
Well, we're also overlooking the fantastic performance from Otto Porter Jr. I mean, he was fantastic tonight. 4 of 7 from the floor. Hit some big shots down the stretch as well to complement Curry's shooting in the fourth quarter. Finished with 12 overall points. So nice boost off the bench for the Golden State Warriors there to have Porter come in and provide some timely shooting, help carry things until Steph kind of remembered, oh, yeah, I am one of the best shooters on the planet, and I can actually hit shots.
That's right. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back, and we'll talk about some awards that came in, including, it turns out, that, well, didn't matter who was in Philadelphia last week. Joel Embiid is not the MVP. We'll talk about that when we come back on Locked On NBA. But first, I need to tell you about BetOnline. Our partners at BetOnline continue to be the #1 source for all your betting needs and sports info. Find all the latest odds, news, and sports development, including this year's basketball playoffs, Major League Baseball scores, fights, and even next season's NFL futures. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sports wagering information, from live betting to playoffs, esports, and more. I had Celtics tonight, and then I got Bucks plus 200 to hedge out of it, so I didn't have to worry about it, and I got good value on both sides. Love the live betting over at BetOnline. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action. BetOnline, where the game starts. We'll be right back on Locked On NBA. Back here on Locked On NBA. Thanks for making us part of your day and your first listen each and every day. Make sure to check out after tonight's, this is Tuesday's episode, Tuesday after tonight's episode or game of Game 5 between the Heat and the Sixers. Make sure to check out Locked On Heat with David Ramil. Great show, wonderful commentary, good discussion. David, I need the Heat to hit some shots here. Got somebody that's got quite a few bets on the old Heat to win the series. Gonna need him to knock down some open threes, please.
Well, I it's funny because you think if you can't hit shots and you wind up shooting only 20% and you have one of the best shooters in the NBA on the roster and you're paying him a heck of a lot of money, it might be time to play him more than 0 minutes a game. I don't know. It's called me crazy. My partner and I both believe that Duncan Robinson deserves some minutes here. And I don't know. I made the prediction that he actually might get the start in Game 5 in Miami. We'll see if that's winds up taking place or not. I suppose not always likely to make those kind of crazy changes, but I think they could use some good shooting there, and Duncan certainly provides it. If not the start, at least if Max Strus winds up missing a couple shots early on, as he has throughout the series, he'll get the quick hook. And we could see Duncan come off some of those dribble handoffs where he can at least tilt the defense and make things happen for his teammates, because nobody else on Miami's roster capable of stretching the floor, except for Jimmy Butler, who's been your best shooter on the roster. That's sure. A sentence I didn't expect to say at any point during the series.
By the way, Eric Spoelstra 9-2 as a home favorite in Game 5s. Just straight up. That's nice little tidbit there. But we're going to talk about some awards. So first, let's talk about Coach of the Year. So Coach of the Year gets announced officially today. Taylor Jenkins wins Coach of the Year. No, I'm sorry, does not win Coach of the Year. Monty Williams was Coach of the Year. I got that mixed up because in my head, there was this tweet from Taylor Jenkins congratulating Monty Williams, and I was like, "Oh, Taylor Jenkins, Coach of the Year." That was in my head. Monty Williams, very rightfully and understandably, wins Coach of the Year. I'm tired, David. It's been a long week.
Yeah.
It's Monday. So Monty Williams wins Coach of the Year, very understandably. He was the favorite. Should have won it last year, if we're being real. Like, this was kind of like a carryover award. Obviously, the Suns finishing with the best record. It makes sense. My only thing here is I don't necessarily know, like, I can't point to anything this year and be like, ooh, Monty did such a better job this year than last. Like, the work was done last year in making them into a contender, and he should have won last year. I'm fine with him winning because Monty's a great coach and everyone loves him, and he's obviously done a terrific job with the Suns, and it's kind of like a, not lifetime, but like your tenure. It's a tenure achievement for what he's done with this team. But it's a little, I guess, surprising that, again, I understand it's like, well, they had the best record. Okay, but like the groundwork for that was laid last year. I'm fine with it. It just does kind of feel like we're a year behind on things. So I kind of wonder, like, is Taylor Jenkins going to win it next year? What's going to be the story? How are we going to catch up next year since we're playing catch up with Monty Williams?
Well, I mean, if you're going to look at playing catch up, one of the top 15 coaches in NBA history has never won the Coach of the Year award, and that's Eric Spoelstra. And look, I know I'm going to come across as homerish here. That's fine. I'll take that. At the same time, Spo did a phenomenal job with his roster, having missed Jimmy Butler for a prolonged period of time, Bam Adebayo for weeks at a time, Kyle Lowry in and out of the lineup, starting several undrafted players throughout the season, etc. I mean, name it. Spo's done it. He's got this team the number one seed in the Eastern Conference, and yet came in fourth in final voting. So that was a little perplexing. As far as Williams is concerned, well-deserved. I get it. The point I think that he makes him the deserving as he was that he kept it all together. There's something to be said about a team that exceeds expectations as they did last year, despite the fact that they got a really good season from Chris Paul last year, and that he was able to keep them with that same kind of focus, and that they recognize there's something great about this team and that they can contend for a title. I know the talent's there. I know now they've got the experience, the confidence, etc. But he plays into that. He enables everybody on that roster and empowers them to feel better about themselves and that to work purposely and together as a group. And there's something to be said for that. And so I think that's one of his greatest strengths.
I like that it's somebody that everyone loves. Everyone loves Monty. Absolutely. Just everybody. I got a chance to interview him a couple of years ago when he was with New Orleans, and it was just a great experience. And he's just universally below. Like, there's nobody that has anything bad to say about Monty Williams, which, to be perfectly honest with you, in my experience, is pretty rare in the NBA. So good for Monty Williams, Coach of the Year. Adrian Wojnarowski of ESPN reported today, and Mike Singer of the Denver Post confirmed Nikola Jokic will, in fact, win his second consecutive Most Valuable Player award. The city of Philadelphia is taking it as you would expect. I saw a tweet from the Attorney General from the state of Pennsylvania saying they were going to investigate into voter fraud. So that's a good time. I mean, look, we knew this was coming, despite the random report that popped up last week from a freelancer that Embiid was going to be rewarded on Friday. This is coming down the pike pretty clearly. The public votes had indicated it one way. I guess my only question for you, David, is, look, I'm not a Nuggets fan. I'm a transplant, but I do host Locked On Nuggets, so I'll defer to you here. Does Jokic's second MVP put him any differently in the course of NBA history?
It's weird, right? Because I think he's going to wind up getting overlooked. And I know another two-time MVP like Steve Nash, who, was beloved and at the same time doesn't feel like he gets the same kind of deserved respect. And I think Jokic is going to feel the same way. Like, that we're still having discussions all season long, even after a well-deserved second MVP award, about Jokic's impact and that he couldn't carry his team deeper into the playoffs, when we're overlooking all the goddamn factors that always play into what it takes to make it past the first round of the playoffs, to go on a deep playoff run, like health, the strength of the roster. None of this matters. Like, he's not a looter in a riot kind of just leading your team in all these incredible categories. Like, he leads them in so many different statistics, and yet he's just a fantastic player. And I don't know. I just think that he's going to wind up getting overlooked, like a two-time MVP, and somehow I think this is going to be held as a referendum against what the award means as opposed to the opposite, which is what it should. It should be an indicator of what a great player he is, instead of people are going to say, oh, the MVP award is just given out by a bunch of nerds with calculators. And I hate that discussion. And I just hate the way it's become this topic of discussion, because, real hoopers know that Joel Embiid should win the goddamn award, when in reality, Jokic was a fantastic player all season long and carried a ramshackle just mess of a roster to a first round playoff team. I mean, that was like, he's a great player. He deserved the recognition. He deserves the award. And Embiid is also a great player. And yes, I can see the point being made now because of what the Philadelphia 76ers have done in the last 2 games against Miami and Embiid's return, etc. But guess what? It's a regular season award. Jokic had a greater regular season than Joel Embiid.
My other thing here is, like, it not only is it a regular season award, it'd be one thing if it was a regular season award that was voted on this week.
Right.
This is what's been making me insane, is when people are like, they voted.
Haven't you seen?
Home. Like,
yeah.
You want us to take in events that occurred after the time of a decision into the decision? That's not how the space-time continuum works.
Well,
like, not just the award, the space-time, the fabric of space-time is all I'm asking for here. My other thing here, I think Embiid was definitely deserving. I thought Jokic was most deserving. I thought Giannis was second most deserving. I made the case for Joel. Like, I wrote an entire 2,000-word article that broke down his, and I learned a lot about how all the good things that Joel is. But yeah, it's been this thing of, like, if you have the eye test, I'm like, I've watched every possession of both of these guys. I sat down and I watched possession after possession. Do you have any idea how many fouls I have seen Joel Embiid draw? I have seen so many plays. The Nash comparison is the one that's been brought up, and Nash is kind of interesting because it was a similar deal. Nash's actual production wasn't on par with Jokic. Like, yet Nash averaged, I think it was 17. But the thing with Nash that everyone kind of like loses in retrospect is, like, Nash made his teammates better.
Right. Like,
Nash was the definition of a guy that made everybody around him better. And the criticism is like, yeah, but he wouldn't win a title. He didn't win a title because Robert Horry hip checked him. That's what, like, that's why he didn't win a title. They win that series. If Robert Horry doesn't hip check him, and Mark Stoudemire doesn't come off the bench, they beat that Spurs team. The tide had turned. The other guy that actually got compared to Jokic did was Moses Malone, who won 2. And it's kind of the same deal where everyone's like, well, it's kind of like Moses Malone, which isn't great for him. And I'm like, Moses won 2 MVPs and an NBA title. What are we doing? Like, Moses is an all-time great.
Right.
He won an NBA title.
Right.
On top of that aspect, you just have the fact of there's this idea of, like, the playoff success. Jokic has been to a conference finals. Embiid is not.
Yeah, that's a good point.
What are we doing? Like, Jokic, this is the first year without his second and third best players that Nikola Jokic has been eliminated in the first round. I don't mind if you feel that Joel Embiid should have won MVP. I don't think it matters now, because guess what? It's been decided. It's over. Like, you're wasting time. You're literally wasting breath on it. But if you're going to do this, at least, like, make the arguments on the merits. Just be like, look, if you look at what Embiid did and how dominant he was, and, he led the league in scoring as a center, but, like, make the case. Like, make the case. I'll tell you that when you get into the details, it gets hard, because it's like he won more games by 2. It gets difficult. But at some level, I will say, my co-host Adam Mares on Locked On Nuggets today asked me if I thought the next year was going to be as toxic in terms of the conversation.
Oh yeah. And
my answer was, well, Joel Embiid is probably going to be in there, and Luka Doncic is probably going to be the one he's competing with. Yeah, it's going to be a scene.
I saw an interesting tweet. I'm curious on your perspective on it, and it's kind of changed the way I think about it. But somebody said, and I wish I could attribute it to, it's the MVP award, right? Giannis Antetokounmpo might be the best player in the NBA, but Nikola Jokic was the most valuable player for what his team was able to accomplish. And I think that's a really good way of stating it. Like, Antetokounmpo, I think most people agree, is the best player in the NBA. It's just like LeBron James has been the best player in the NBA for many, many years, but that doesn't mean he wins the MVP every year.
It's a resume. Right?
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of the thing, is, like, you look at the season as an individual resume. It's a body of work, and this is why I start paying attention to it in November. It's why it bothers me that we get these, like, conversations where a guy will have played terrible in November, and it's like, those games mattered. Like, there's a reason that they were sub 500 at Christmas or whatever. Yeah. So I think I do think at this point I'm kind of the mindset of that Giannis is the best player in the NBA. I think he's deserved that.
Yeah.
I think he's earned that case, especially over like I think with KD, it's any given night. KD any given night, I think is the best player in the NBA, but Jokic night to night, what he's been able to do is incredible, and it's a well-earned MVP. And now we'll go back to, I guess, using the space-time continuum to argue that something should have happened differently in the past. I'm not sure how. All right, I want your predictions. Heat Sixers, who wins tomorrow?
I think the Heat take it.
Me too.
I mean,
I like the Heat game. And Mavs Suns, Game 5 in Phoenix.
I think the Suns win that one as well. Both series tied at 2 games apiece. I think the mojo that the Mavs rediscovered won't be there in Phoenix. I got to give the Suns credit. Chris Paul, obviously going to be a little angry, a little chip on that shoulder. I imagine a pretty big game from him too.
Oh, yeah. By the way, the fan, we should note that the fan that was apparently a kid that they said tried to give Chris Paul's mom an unwanted hug. The family, those ticket holders have been banned till 2023, so till the end of the year. There was video that leaked, but look, if you know anybody's going to games, just be like, hey, by the way, apparently we need to tell each other that we shouldn't, but if you know anybody going to the games, just be like, hey, don't touch any of the players or the families. Just keep your hands to yourselves. Apparently we need to, this is something we need to reiterate, but that's for the good of everybody. Just keep your hands to yourself. That's the thing.
Now that after years of covering the league and talking to players and seeing them, newsflash here, as human beings, it's kind of hard for me to accept the way that fans yell. I mean, I don't even want to go into people who yell racial epithets and things of that sort. That's just abhorrent, and that should never be done. But to treat players the way they do because they're playing a game because you paid your money as a ticket holder or whatever, that's not an excuse for you to be a jerk. And I don't think what we saw in that game yesterday, or what we haven't seen in the video, because you know what? I trust Chris Paul. I believe what he's saying. I believe that security throwing out these people is enough proof that he did something he shouldn't have. That his family had to be concerned about their safety because they were in a hostile environment because somebody tried to make unwanted contact with them. That's just not cool. You just don't do it. And it should never happen. And as fans, appreciate the game, appreciate the humans that are playing this game for our benefit, and also treat them with the respect they deserve.
I think a lot of it comes down to, like, I don't think that these people go, like, leave the arena when they say these things or do these things. Right. And then unless they face legal consequences, I don't think they think about it again. Like, they just like, it's just like it was a lark and just like something that they did in the comfort of a crowd, right? Versus like if you're a player, you're subjected to this always, and it's a very personal experience, and you're very exposed. And just have a little consideration for the other people in the universe, just like a little bit. And that's your message for a Tuesday. All right, let's get wrap it up for Locked On NBA. Thanks for joining us. You can follow David on Twitter at DRamil13. You can find me on Twitter at HP Basketball. By the way, the NBA lottery is Tuesday, May 17th, not tomorrow, as I apparently cannot.
I wouldn't have known. I'm sorry. I'm not following it.
I apparently cannot grasp the space-time continuum either. But when it does, you're going to want to check out the NBA Big Board, Locked On NBA Big Board. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Have yourselves a great week. We'll see you guys again next week. We'll have hosts for you throughout the week here, continuing coverage of the NBA playoffs on Locked On NBA.